back to Key is King. Today we are getting into the greatest franchise on Bravo right now. Salt Lake City. Do I even need to say it? We are at season... See, I knew what we were at, but I second-guessed myself, and that's why you shouldn't do that. We're at season 5, episode 12, and we are opening with Meredith at her bar mitzvah. And as... if you've been keeping up, Meredith's a smooth 50-something probably. She might be in her 40s, but she acted about 86. And she is having a bar mitzvah because she needed a storyline. She's going to claim it was to get closer to her faith and her husband and her family. She's trying to keep her job. And she's doing a little religious, spiritual realization and perks along the way. But she's rehearsing for it, and... all is dandy, and then we go from rehearsal to the actual event itself. And so all of the ladies are arriving, all of the ladies were invited and do eventually attend, eventually being the key word there. Heather, of course, is coming, and we are getting into her complete... she just has a long line and a legacy of being a liar and a hypocrite. And she just keeps revealing layers of her being shitty. So she said her first sip of alcohol was at a bar mitzvah. Now, mind you, she's Mormon, purebred, inbred as well, according to Mary. And she is just always fucking lying. So apparently she started her lying at a very young age by taking her first sip of alcohol at a bar mitzvah, which she's not supposed to do. It's like outlawed to be a drinker in the Mormon community if you're a real Mormon and not 2.0. So, once again, keep revealing yourself as the awful person you are. Not that drinking makes her awful, by the way. She's just a liar. She's a fucking liar. But I guess they're all a little bit of a hypocrite because Meredith has a shit ton of alcohol at her bar mitzvah. But the ladies are trickling in, and it's official. Bronwyn is on my shit list, and she is on my nerves. I don't know what this bitch thinks she's doing, but she is, baby. She switched teams too quickly and wrongly. So she is, like I said, she's on the other side of my line now, and not in a good way. But the women are asking and looking around, they're like, where's Mary? Where's Mary? And they flash back to a scene of Mary and Angie over at Mary's house. And Angie's talking to Mary, and Mary's just explaining that, like, I have a lot going on. Like, the stuff with Meredith doesn't seem that big because, like, I just have, like, my family needs me. And what I loved about this scene is that Angie offered her support without pushing Mary for a bit of information. She didn't say, well, what's wrong? Well, I think she asked if anything was wrong, but Mary wasn't, like, open to sharing in that moment. And Angie said, well, whatever it is, I hope it's okay, and, like, I'm there for you, and, like, I'm wishing you guys well. So, like, I just loved the fact that that is it. Because, like, not for nothing, I could be pushy sometimes. Like, I ask questions, and not everybody's always ready for that. And so sometimes, like, it was just nice even for somebody like me to see, because I'm an open person myself, but that doesn't mean that everybody else always is. So I just liked the way and appreciated the way that Angie supported Mary without prying and pushing to know exactly what was wrong in that moment. Because on Mary's time, she'll tell her. So I loved it. To me, that looked like real friendship in a world that is built on fake friendship. And that's why I love these two. But that kind of explains if Mary was coming. It made it allude to Mary didn't know if she was going to come or not. So they flash back over to the women, and they're all still mingling. And like I said, Bronwyn just, I don't know who she thinks she is or what she thinks she's doing. And she's making me side with Heather right now, and I really don't fucking like that more than anything, which I think I've said before. So we're still at, like, cocktail hour, and Brittany arrives, being weird as ever, but she's now teamed up with Bronwyn and Melee, aka Melee, who was edited out of the season before the past couple episodes, pretty much. And now they've created a whack-ass trio for the time being. And they're just being, like, really... First of all, Bronwyn's being nasty to the both of them. And I would have fucking, like, cussed her out or fucking, like, spilled my drink on her if she did this shit to me. Because they're talking, and mind you, they're talking shit about other people, but she's like, well, now I'm friends with you two. Like, look what happened. Like, look how we got here. Bitch, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? I would... The way she would have been dismissed from my life at that moment. Because what do you mean, look, now I I got stuck being your guys' friends because of the messy, like, girl. And those dummies just stood there smiling. They deserved it. you know what? They deserved it. It wouldn't have been me, not me. It wouldn't have been I, but they deserve that because they're stupid for standing there and taking it. But they're talking about Angie and how Angie is so desperate for attention. Okay, all right. I won't even do too much right now because Angie did plenty to them. And I'll get into that. But they are doing three much. The three blind ass musketeers. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. Meredith arrives with her family on a sleigh, pulled by horses. I don't think that has any cultural significance. Meredith thought she was just like, she thought she was that girl playing on words, that she's arriving in a sleigh, and I guess it was a sleigh. I don't fucking know. I wonder if her gay ass son Brooks told her to do that. And I can say that because I'm also somebody's gay ass son, so. But yeah, Meredith is not that girl. She thinks she's that girl. They're doing her ceremony, and I don't know anything about bar mitzvahs or like Jewish religious ceremonies. I'm not just plugged into that side of life. So like the educational piece of all of this was great. It did make me wonder though, is it tradition for Jewish people to sing like their prayers and all of the, like Meredith was like singing the whole ceremony, like all the parts she had to read. And like the reason I asked that is because Meredith can't fucking sing. And if there was a talking option, I wish you would have taken it. But like I genuinely don't know, so I'm not gonna like talk shit about that. Because like if somebody can sing or at least like manage to make it sound great, by all means, mazel tov. But like Meredith sounded fucking awful. So like listening to her sing the whole program, I'm like, did she have to? So if you happen to know that, please leave me a comment and educate me. Like I said, I'm not trying to be ignorant right now, but it was not it. It really was not it. And she just seemed unsure. I mean, I know she was probably nervous, but like the whole thing I was like, But her family was there, her mom is there, and her mom looks good for like an older lady. I was like, okay. I don't know if that's like surgery or if that's like kind of genetics, but like I was like, okay, mom was kind of serving for being an old lady. And it was funny. Lisa was like, of course, it feels so good to be able to hug you again. Or like she said that to her sister or something. I'm like, Lisa, nobody gives a fuck right now. Go calm down. Do like some skin tightening exercises in the corner. Do something. But Meredith's ceremony is going on, and Mary does eventually arrive about an hour late because that is the new standard, and that's something that these women, I guess, use as ammunition to talk about. And God bless Mary, because she's late, and like the room they're in kind of has like blackout curtains where you can't really see in, but you can see out, or like the shadows of what's outside. And Mary is walking around the entire perimeter of this party, like peeking into the windows, like trying to see like what's happening inside and like I guess where the front door is. It was hilarious, but it also was embarrassing. Because at one point she's like outside of like the windows that are in the front of the ceremony. So it's like the podium, the fucking, the scroll, like I can't think of the name right now. But maybe, I want to say the Torah, but I don't know if that's right. And please don't come for me, the handful of you that watch, thank you. But she's like behind the scroll, the religious text, like Mary's like, I was like, Mary, oh my god, the secondhand embarrassment, but also the hilarity of only Mary Cosby. But Meredith goes through her ceremony, excuse my tongue, and they break out for a little fight and a little party afterwards, and boy, do they do both. So Angie decides that she wants to talk to Bronwyn because Bronwyn's been going around telling people anybody that will listen to her that she's upset, and she wants an apology, and Angie definitely wants, or feels like she wants an apology as well. So like Angie makes the first move, she approaches Bronwyn to talk, and that shit doesn't go well, because fucking Bronwyn essentially, the second she realized that Angie wants an apology, she's like, oh, you think I should be apologizing to you? And Angie's like, well, yeah. But of course, there's so much happening in this scene, genuinely, that they are jumping and cutting. It was almost hard to keep up with. I had to like rewind a couple times. But like, as this is happening, Meredith and Mary are making up. and claiming that they love each other. And Mary is like genuine, and Meredith is a fake ass bitch. I know we just gave out mazzles, and I know she just did some scroll stuff, but she's fake. She's fake as hell. I feel like Mary was, like I said, I feel like Mary was being very genuine with Meredith, and Meredith was just like, yeah, like, just trying to, like, kind of move it on. But Meredith holds grudges a little bit, and she's been accused of that, we know that. So, obviously, in watching things like the after show and just keeping up with the ladies kind of currently, we know that shit didn't last anyway, so she definitely was not being genuine, in my opinion. We cut back over to Angie and Bronwyn, and like I said, they're both asking each other for opinions at the same time, and from there, they get hype quickly. Because Bronwyn thinks she's like from Compton. I don't know where the fuck she's really from, but she's like trying to cosplay as somebody ethnic sometimes. And she thinks she's just going to get hype with Angie. But Angie is, I keep trying to tell y'all, Angie is the big Greek stepper. She is not playing. That girl grew up with no mom. She is a different type of cold. She doesn't know affection. She's about to fuck y'all up. Like, stop playing with Angie is the moral of the story. Which they played in her face big time in this episode, and I was pissed. But Bronwyn thinks she's getting hype, and she's like yelling at Angie, and Angie's like yelling back. She's like, bitch, you were talking about dick riding and saying cunt, this, that, the other, third. Like, you think you're a trucker, so what are you talking to me about saying fuck you or fuck off? Like, what are you doing? So Angie's letting her know about herself, and Bronwyn is like short-circuiting, because you know she makes those fucking faces. And she just can't believe her ears. She's so aghast. Like, girl, bye. And so as these ladies are arguing, because at this point they're just screaming, they're screaming these profanities across this nice Jewish party. Family members are like, what is happening? And so Todd comes over because he invented the Palm Pilot and he has money, and he's like, not today, tomorrow, or the next day. So he's like, okay, let's stop, let's calm down. And Bronwyn is like, well, and she's always trying to like blame somebody the fuck else when Daddy Todd rolls around. And so Todd like ends it, and Angie's like, Todd, I'm really sorry, you're really nice, like, Todd's embarrassed, like, da-da-da. Angie's like playing it, she's playing it good, because Todd is like pretty much like being amicable with Angie too, which does not sit well with Bronwyn. So Maylee is trying so hard to be seen. She is like in Bronwyn's skin the second she walks away from Angie. After being told like she was like the last ditch effort friend of Bronwyn anyway. So she's like literally all up in the shit, like, what's wrong? What do you need? Do you need a drink? Like literally in her face. And so Bronwyn goes over to the bar with Todd, and Maylee is still just fucking like right there, to the point where Todd literally taps her ass and is like, you can go. Goodbye. Leave. And Maylee's like, oh yeah. Cause bitch, you're not her husband. What are you really about to do for Bronwyn right now? You're not even edited into this show. You can't do nothing. They might edit that out too. Like, I was laughing so hard. These bitches are trying to be here, and they're just not. But Bronwyn is like all upset, all crying, and trying to plead her case to Todd, and Todd's like, that's embarrassing. We should leave. Like, I'm leaving. And Bronwyn's like, no. She's like begging. She really did. They talk about Mary. This girl married her grandpapa for real. For real. So Todd's over it per usual. Bronwyn's like, oh, and like wants to stay and like apologizes to the bartender for hearing their therapy session, because she just swears she has to be funny after everything. But like I said, she's on my shit list right now. I have nothing positive to give her. Talk about a fall from grace. So as this fight is happening, peaking, and then dissolving, Whitney engages Heather over in the corner to like do some damage control about what Bronwyn said during the camping trip, and Heather does not seem to be worried about it or feeling that Whitney needs to do this, because she's been saying from the beginning that Bronwyn is weird and a liar. And like I said, I give credit where it's due, and I have to give Heather a little credit on spotting Bronwyn's weird ass, because she really is showing her non-existent ass right now. And so Heather's like, I already told you that I don't trust this girl, so like I'm not tripping off of what she said. But as the bad weather cousins are having their conversation, Lisa decides to come over and engage Whitney about being a liar. And so they have a little argument, and it's just like, Lisa, keep your spray tanner like over there for a few minutes, please. But she just had to come in and talk about who's a liar or Whitney's lying. And Whitney was like, can you shut the fuck up? She's like, do not talk to me like that. Why are you talking to me like that? I don't love that. Just like, oh my god. So they switch back over to the table with Bronwyn and Brittany, and before this party started, Brittany was also calling Angie a slut. They were still stuck on the fact that Angie said she was banging 3 guys. Now they're exaggerating it to the fact that Angie said she was banging 10 guys, when it was Brittany that said she was dating 10 guys at once, after Angie had accused her of banging 3 people. So, like, you don't even do the math right. Like, just all you women are spinning in brainless circles about some of this shit. Like, and then trying to come for the people that got some sense. Like, the gaslighting, Mormonism, Utah of it all. This is why Mary be chewing them up, because Mary is not playing these types of games with you. Like, she is not. But this is not about Mary right now. It's not about her. So Bronwyn is bringing up the whole, like, slutty thing again. And she, essentially the whole thing boils down to Brittany is now going to engage Angie about the comments she made about her. And so she does this, and it's like Bronwyn and Brittany, they decide they're going to be friends again, and Brittany's like, I am so excited that me and Bronwyn are finally friends. And Bronwyn essentially tells her, like, we'll be friends for like a minute, like a hot minute, like we could do that for a hot minute. And so they tag team for literally a hot minute. They go over and engage all the other women, mostly Angie. And so Brittany's coming for Angie again about calling her a whore or whatever. And so they're trying to kind of play nice at first, and it quickly goes from Bronwyn and Brittany to Bronwyn versus Brittany, because in the middle of Brittany talking, Bronwyn leans over and goes, oh, she called you a whore before this all started. What? Like, Brittany goes, Bronwyn, why would you say that? Why would you throw me under the bus? And she was like, oh, I told you we were going to be friends for a hot minute. The minute's over. Girl. Just loose and sloppy. I think everybody was gooped. They were all like, what is this girl doing? She is like blindly taking her gun and just shooting. She doesn't give a fuck who she clips. She's just trying to take somebody with her. Whew. And so Angie hears that somebody has called her a whore, and she gets to step in, and not away from the conflict, but right into the middle of it. She was like, oh, Brittany, you called me a whore? She's like, with your high body count hair and your high body count dress and your high body count shoes. She said, you look like you have a high body count everything. When I tell you Angie read her down, Angie, to the point where they were all shocked. Like, mouths were open. Like, just agape. Like, they were like, Angie. Even Whitney was like, Angie, stop. And she's like, no. I want to take a shot every time the word... Take a shot every time the words high body count left Angie's mouth. She was not playing. Y'all, Angie was not playing. Your high body count hair, your high body count. And Brittany was offended. She was disgusted. Like, she was like, oh my god, she called me a slut. And she's leaving the party with her high body count everything. She probably caught a few bodies on the way to her purse. She is storming out. She's leaving. She is offended. She's been called a whore, although she literally said that Angie was like projecting because Angie was the whore. So it's like, what are you doing, girl? But this is why she's weird as Brittany. She's crazy. But people are calling and demanding for her stay on this show. So I don't know, but the whole thing was funny as fuck to me. But they're all using this opportunity to like turn on Angie. All of a sudden, Angie is the problem. She is the aggressor. She is the mean one here. She is like so hurtful and harmful, which is a crock of fucking shit. If you were wondering, it's fucking stupid. But it turns to this whole thing because Brittany's now storming around with her porn hair, and Meredith is like now freaking out when she hears about this, and we know Meredith loves a good Xanax-fueled, misdirected, misguided freak out. They need to like, I want to say like euthanize her, but they need to like give her something that like really brings her down. Like really controls the other voices that are in her head, because she has like some auditory hallucinations, I think. She is a little cuckoo crazy. But she starts losing her mind when she hears this and is demanding for Angie to be kicked out and is screaming and security and you will not slut shame at my bat mitzvah. Like, she's fucking losing her marbles. And so Angie comes over and is trying to like diffuse the situation, and she's like, Brittany, I love your hair. And Lisa goes, no, she doesn't. She's lying. When I tell you this, it was the Lord of the fucking Jewish flies in this episode. They were not playing. They were not playing. And so Angie's like, okay, no, I don't love your hair. And Lisa's like, I don't like your hair either. It actually needs a couple of these treatments, but like we can talk about that later. Which they are fucking scratching each other in each other's faces. Like, they are not, there's no loyalty. But it all boils down to Meredith is tweaking in her little sparkly bodysuit and wants Angie to get kicked out. So she has Angie like surrounded by these two big ass security guards, and Angie's like, I'm 100 pounds. What are you two really about to do? Like, back up for me, please. Her little short king comes over, gets her shit. Somebody hands Angie a jacket, and she's like, it's not mine. This is Brittany's. And she fucking throws it on the ground, which Brittany goes and collects it very quickly. But yeah, Meredith is doing the most and kicks Angie out. Lisa's chasing Angie to talk about what's happening and giving her fake support. But they really try to make this about Angie, and it wasn't about Angie. Like, they fucking started it. As Bronwyn pointed out a few times, like, in regards to Brittany, she threw the first punch, now she's mad and crying. Can't stand a bitch like that. So Meredith's party just continued to go to shit. From the time she stopped doing her ceremony, everything just unraveled. So Angie gets kicked out, people are crying, people are upset, people have high body count, everything, just given real slore, apparently. And that's how we end the episode. Well, that's not true. We end the episode with Lisa being like, well, Mexico should be fun. And they do one of those good old rewind, edit, reverse, flashback. And Lisa has planned a trip to Mexico because she's trying to compete with Bronwyn's rich-ass trip to California. Lisa's like, I can throw a trip. I can put on a nice time. So in true Lisa fashion, it's all about Lisa. And so Lisa's planning a trip, and she's had this in motion for a few weeks. And so after all of these fights and all of this fucking just chaos and these debacles, we are now going on a cash trip to Mexico. Which from the mid-season trailer we know, shit goes down. But that is indeed how we end this episode, and another quality showing from the Salt Lake girlies. You know they don't know how to miss. The allegiances are non-existent. The women are messier than ever. And it's engaging drama, it's fun, and that's why they're the top. Truly at the top of the snowy mountain. But that was it. As always, please do not forget, don't forget. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I will be back for more, and I hope you will too. Bye.